So we are in Veria or Berea or Beroa, where St. Paul preached to the Jews that were here, and the Bereans are known for examining the scriptures to see if what Paul said matched up with what the scripture said. And this is the place where Paul preached to the Bereans. This is a statue of St. Paul.
So we are at the what we call the Bema, B-E-M-A in Greek means my step. For example, when I walk, we say Bema. So Bema can mean many things. Bema is a step. Bema is the podium or a platform where a person steps on to address to the people, like the emperors, they would do it in the Roman Forum, like the politicians in the parliament. And like Paul, the original one, 2,000 years old, is there. This is the original. You can tell that this is old. You see? So this was where they got, where they were. These are all new. The mosaic, the statues, they are new. Actually, it says here that this was recently, as a monument, restored for honoring Paul. But this is the original. So this is where the Jewish community would gather. This is what it shows there. It says, in Polis, the city of Veria, B-E-R. Your P is our R. Veria, O-I-A. So the city, I mean the town behind, and these are the Jews community, women and men. And this is Paul. It says Apostle Paul. You know, Apostle Paul was born Jew. His Jewish name was Saul. Saul, and actually he was a persecutor of the Christians. He witnessed the martyrdom of Saint Stephen. Saint Stephen, since we're going to Meteora monasteries, there is a monastery there dedicated to Saint Stephen. Saint Stephen martyred, died very young, a young boy. He was stoned to death. They say that Saint Paul, before he converted into Christianity, in Greek. The New Testament was written in Greek, and this is the language of Alexander the Great as well. It's very strange how, I mean, Alexander the Great lived here, he was in this part of Greece, 400 years before Paul visited Greece. But Alexander, by conquering the world, creating the Hellenistic Empire, he started from here, from Macedonia, all the way south to Egypt, and all the way to India. Alexander reached India. Size-wise, his empire is enormous if you see the size of Hellenistic Empire. But it lasted 11 years only. 11 years they were fighting, and then only 11 years. It's the shortest empire, but size-wise the largest. So without realizing it, he prepared the land. You know, he made, what does Hellenistic means? To Hellenize the world, to make the Greek civilization known. So he made the Greek language known, he founded libraries. So, you know, there are still people in, I think there is a tribe, they're called Kalash, somewhere in Afghanistan, with blue eyes, and you know, and they in their language in Afghanistan, very far away from here, in their vocabulary they have some Greek words. So that proves that, you know, I mean, when the generals and Alexander went there, you know, he made the Greek language known. So when Paul, 4 centuries after Alexander, he started preaching Christianity, they spoke this language. It was already, people knew, you understand why it was not easy for him, because it was a totally different religion, but at least the language they could communicate. Hellenistic Koine, common Greek, was Greek language was also the language of diplomacy, even during the Roman Empire here, even before, contemporary to Paul, they spoke Greek. So don't, if you're wondering how, they could read, and the New Testament, how they could hear Paul or sitting here and listen to him talking about monotheism. He talked about, monotheism, worship of one God, because they knew the language, Hellenistic koine. So if you know the Greek alphabet, you can read. You can read this. First we have ancient Greek, Homer, Thucydides, ancient Greek. It's difficult. Not all. The Greeks don't speak ancient Greek. We have to study. Then we have, let's say, Hellenistic koine, common Greek, the language of Alexander, a little bit more simple, less sophisticated. The service in the church is in this language. It's not in modern Greek. It's in this language. And then we have modern Greek that we speak now, but everybody can understand this language. This, not ancient Greek, but Hellenistic koine. So you see here it says, to orama, you say panoramic, the same word, panoramic, vision of all. Panoramic, it's a Greek word. Pan is of all, orama. So, to orama, the vision of Apostle Paul, where his second vision, when an angel appeared in front of him and encouraged him to go to the land of the Macedonians. And he turned and he came here. Philippi, where Lydia converted into Christianity, here, Veria, Thessaloniki first, Veria. They were more open-minded here, very educated, the Jewish community of Veria, so they, were discussing. They didn't agree on everything, but they examined the text, and then from here, Paul left and he sailed to Athens, on Mars Hill, opposite the Acropolis. Athens, when Paul visited Greece, was not the city that it was when we had the democracy and the Parthenon. There was a moral decline already, so they needed to hear something new about about love, the real meaning of love. They didn't embrace Greece. The roots of paganism in Greece were very deep. We had polytheism, statues, philosophical schools, temples, It was not, when Paul came, it was really hard, very hard. There were not only the Romans that were, paganists, polytheists. It was a difficult, but in Athens, also it was a city in Athens that was open to new ideas. They liked to philosophize. So when Paul started talking about the real meaning of, he said that God does not live in statues or in temples, but is somewhere else. They had the altar to the unknown God, the Athenians. They liked to hear new ideas. There was the Stoics and the Epicureans, the maximum pleasure, the less pain, these philosophers. So they liked to philosophize, the Athenians but when Paul started talking about resurrection of the dead, there was something, it was too much for the Athenians, too new, and they started mocking, laughing, but they never took Paul and put him in jail or prison and then Paul left, he went to Corinth. In Corinth, there was slave market, prostitution. In Corinth, he found a very hard time. That's why he spent the longest, 1.5 years in Corinth. They brought him before the court. They accused him that he's inventing his own God. But then the Roman proconsul said, I don't care, it's a matter of religion. I don't care about that. If it was a matter of crime, it would be my responsibility. I don't care. So then Paul secretly left Corinth. He crossed the Aegean. He went to Ephesus, which is in Turkey nowadays. And in Ephesus, he sent the letters, the epistles to the Corinthians, a beautiful letter. No matter what is our religion, or if we believe in Christianity or no, whatever, as a text, the one that talks about the real meaning of love, what really love is, because probably you have heard is the one that says that
from the Corinthians.
Yes, that if you have all power and faith to move mountains, but you have not love, you're nothing. Love endures everything, rejoices in the right, love never ends. So he sent this to the Corinthians because of the prostitution that was in Corinth, the notorious concubines, the courtesans, and slave market. The Corinthians lived a licentious life. And then, you know, he made it, you know, so from Ephesus he sent the letters to the Corinthians. So this journey is a part of his second journey of Paul here in Greece, Apostle Paul. John, the disciple to whom Jesus entrusted his mother when he was on the cross, was in Patmos in Greece about 20 years after Paul visited. John dictated the book of Revelation, the last book of the New Testament, after Paul's visit. So when Paul came here, it was, you know, a multicultural society.
These are the original steps where Paul stood and preached the Bereans.
And the frame actually around the door, at the door, lintel, threshold, marble, sealed. This has never opened since Phillip was put in South 2,400 years ago. And all the horses, now we can't see very clearly, but they recognize the portraits of Alexander and Philip. So it's a hunting scene of between, the Father, the Son, and their friends in the woods, a very happy moment, and of course the original colors. So they were wandering here, they were standing for days. Athena had to stay a virgin goddess. She didn't want to get married. So in order to keep men away, she asked from Perseus, and Athena looked her into her eyes, so he used his shield. Her face was reflected on his shield, cut her head, and offered Medusa's head to Athena.
So this dessert is called Ravani with ice cream. Ravani is semolina. Semolina is also called Rava in India. And supposedly there's yogurt inside this cake.
It's a local dessert.
It's a local dessert. Okay, great. Thank you.
2-3 σταγόνες έδειχνε, δεν έδειχνε καμιά καταιγίδα, αλλά εδώ έδειχνε με of archaeological sites, UNESCO, or parks, or forests, or mountains, so they cannot.
We just arrived at a hotel named Grand Meteora Hotel. This is close to a place called Kalambaka, and I'm just going to show you the view outside here. Look at the views. There is a little village there. I think it's called Kastraki, where we plan on going on a walk after dinner this evening. And I think all the way up there on top of the mountain is a monastery. All the way up on top. So our hotel is nestled at the foothills of these Meteora mountains, or the rock formations. So we're going on a walk to, what was the name of the village? Yes, the name of the town is Kastraki. We've seen these solar panel water heaters in Turkey as well as in Greece. A nice efficient way to get hot water. It's a quaint little town here, just 5 minutes away from the hotel actually. And there's more of these rock formations here in the distance. So these are apparently grapevines. They are protected from the birds by the netting over them. There's a nice looking house, and with pomegranates on the side here. Oh yeah. Nice. So here we have a fig tree with young fig fruit over there. It's not ripe yet. And right next to it, more pomegranates. So right now here we are close to the bottom of the rock formations here. So supposedly this used to be the bay of a river millions of years ago, and the waters receded all the way down to the and there's no water here anymore. So from the top, the waters receded all the way to the bottom. Sorry, correct myself, it was the delta of a river. And we are very close to these two imposing rock formations here. Really huge. It's called a conglomerate or a sedimentary rock formation. If you zoom in, you'll see it's mostly, according to our tour manager, it's sand and pebbles.